So you want something fun, convertible and good looking for the summer. An MX-5 is perhaps a bit too mainstream for you, so why don't you take a look at one of these? This is the Mini John Cooper Works Convertible. Visually, it's a good looking car. You get a nice John Cooper Works badging here, the nice red stripe, carbon fibre vent which goes absolutely nowhere, nice big grille at the bottom here, oil cooler in there, and then a fake vent here unfortunately. But overall it's good looking, especially with these little stripes on it. It's quite cute, quite aggressive, almost a bit like a Jack Russell. Down the side it's pretty much the same thing. You get your nice red mirror caps here to finish off from the front. Nice down the side here, you got a little bit of a side skirt poking out, a bit of this kind of fake bandaging stuff going on here, but there's not really much going on apart from the black plastic cladding and the nice little alloys. Around the back, that's where things start to get a little bit more interesting as well. So you got your kind of your fake venty stuff here, down the side there as well. Nice black boot lid trim going on here. You got the dual exhaust, more on those later because they're the John Cooper Works Pro exhaust, which sound awesome. Little John Cooper Works badging here, cute little lights. Fortunately, this one doesn't have the nice little Union flag lights like you got on the other ones. But overall, it looks all right from the back. Inside, it's actually quite nice. There are very few cars in the market where you get this blend of nice analog stuff with the digital. You've got the tactile buttons down here, physical climate control buttons, a nice big screen. The only thing is though, that although everyone complains that these Minis are quite big, they're still quite small. So sat in here, I am very snug. It's a bit like driving a sleeping bag. But still, you know, it's comfortable. The seats are fairly supportive. I wish they were a bit more sporty and a bit buckety, but really you can't complain. It's a nice place to be. There are a few drawbacks though. If you look down here, you've got the controls for the screen here, which is great having it and not having a touchscreen because they're a bit useless. But having them down here means you always have to look down and take your eyes off the road. And it's not just a case of glancing down, you physically have to look all the way down. And that's not particularly safe. In the back, it's a bit of a different story though. So these seats are massively upright, so you feel like you're sat in a high chair or something. Again, there isn't a lot of room in the back, so I'm not very tall, and this seat is in my normal driving position, and I haven't really got that much room. You're also pushed again from the side, so you're kind of sat at a bit of an angle like that. The only way to truly be comfortable back here is to either sell your knees or just have absolutely no self-worth, because it's really, really unpleasant back here. There are some details which are nice though. So on the back of your headrest, you got a nice Union flag. You have a cup holder. You got Isofix points as well for some reason. So really, this car is more of a two-seater with kind of jump seats in the back. You wouldn't want to go anywhere on a long journey in the back of this, and as such, you kind of don't. This is more useful as a boot space, which brings me on to an interesting point. That point is the boot on this car. Now, I know it being convertible is always going to have a small boot, but that's it. Now, it's only useful really if you're carrying a pencil case or something like that. So in the back here, I've just got our camera gear and then some blankets which the dogs sit on when they go in the front seat. But other than that, there's not really a lot. There is a useful feature though. So if you are loading into this letterbox, you just pop that up, and then you can lift the top of the car up if you're feeling very strong. Now that works a lot better when the roof is up. But other than that, it is the most useless boot in the world. Cheers, Mini. Aside from the pocket-sized boot, it does feature heated seats, dual climate control, a heads-up display, and a very important feature. See, this specific car is fitted with something called curb sensors. So what you do is you drive up to your curb when you're parking. As soon as you feel it through the steering wheel, you feel a bump, that's when you know you've reached the curb. You can see they've been used to great effect on this one right here. So what's it like to drive? Well, the Mini is bloody good fun. Put it in sport mode and the whole dynamic of this car changes. So you get a nice healthy weight to the steering wheel, the throttle response is really, really sharp, and the suspension firms up quite a lot. Now the John Cooper Works is extremely chuckable. That's the best way to describe how you drive this car. You simply point it to a corner, turn the wheel, and it will do it, and do it really bloody well. The issue though is the suspension. So although it is kind of set up to be quite sporty and whatnot, it is far too hard. But what that means is you drive down a country road like this where it's quite undulating and it's not very smooth, and you feel every single bump. If you drove over a sheet of paper, you would feel it. And even so, My proof is here. So the camera I've got set up here, I've had to put it up 3 times because it keeps falling off, because it's so bouncy on this road, like that. However, with that suspension being so firm, you do find that it handles incredibly well. So although it does kind of skip about the road a bit if you're on something that's really undulating and a bit terrible, still, it will hold the road incredibly well. I mean, this car doesn't weigh a lot, it's about 1,300 kilos. Powering this little Mini is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And that gives you around 228 brake horsepower, which is more than enough for a car of this size. It really does go a bit like a stabbed rat, so if you need to overtake someone, it's no problem. Just whack it in sport mode and see what happens. When you're driving this, if you listen closely, you do get a little bit of turbo flutter. A little woo, woo, woo. But obviously that is massively overshadowed by the exhaust note and the fact it pops and bangs. But with that exhaust, even in its quietest setting, you do find that it drones quite a lot. So if you're in traffic or driving slowly somewhere, it does kind of get in your ears a bit. And the problem with that, obviously, is that there's no roof, either when it's down or when it's up. You simply just have to deal with it. And so yes, the Mini John Cooper Works has the obvious drawbacks associated with the convertible, but these are far outweighed by the immense fun and character this car has. If you're after something a bit left field, have a look at one of these. It certainly won't disappoint.